Hello, my noble band of outlaws. Outlawsamurai, coming at you live with a video. Yes, it's been quite a while since I've done any kind of live action, and I'm just kind of testing out my... Oh. Oh, god damn it. I thought for certain my video... My, new webcam would be working. Uh, da, 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 da. Well, in any case, we seem to have very good visual quality anyways. So, as my noble band of outlaws has seen from the video title, today we are going to do a much Halloween discussion. And if you've seen my latest horror movie stupidity playlist, and the first monster I chose to demonstrate is Jason Voorhees, a classic in the horror genre. However, this time I'm going to actually be talking about his most disputed rival, and I'm not talking Freddy Krueger. What I'm talking about, and is going to be what I'm going to start talking about in this live stream till my noble outlaws tune in, is Michael Myers. Yes, the masked serial killer / Terminator of the horror movie franchise, Michael Myers. Now, to understand how to fight Michael Myers, one must understand his powers, abilities, and etc., etc. Michael Myers generally has your stereotypical horror movie slasher power set. Incredible durability, stamina, speed, strength, more than your average human. But he is not superhuman. Just ignore everything about the cult and the magic shit. That's we are taking all the supernatural bullshit out of these fight analysis, where I would fight and explain how I would fight these horror movie slasher monsters. And I know what some of y'all be thinking, Outlawsamurai, it's so easy if you take the magic portion out. You just get the boomstick and go bang bang. You would think that just grabbing the old boomstick and going bang bang would work, but sadly, it does not. And the reason it does not is simply because in most of these horror movie scenarios, you don't have a relatively large supply of boomsticks. You have pretty much the one gun in the show, or you have a lot of small caliber guns lying around that really don't do anything to the slasher in question. Jason Voorhees is not easy to kill, neither is Michael Myers. And I have made a video about how I would fight Jason Voorhees. It's just I've literally spent all weekend trying to get my horror movie stupidity episode 1 to upload. So, little bit out of order. But in any case, Michael Myers power sets. Now, Michael Myers, he is larger than the average man. I believe his measurements put him at 6'5", somewhere around there, 6'4", weighing near 300 pounds. He has incredible stamina, durability, and he is intelligent and rather quiet. However, his biggest advantage is the fact that he physically cannot feel pain, and this isn't like some metaphor. No, he actually has a physical disorder that prevents him from feeling any pain at all. Now, feeling pain and not having a sense of touch are two different things. I believe I explained that in the Jason Voorhees video. I can feel and touch a can of this WD-40. I could even feel and touch it being sprayed. But if that WD-40 caused pain, I wouldn't be able to feel it if I was Michael Myers, because my pain receptors, the the separate sensory apparatuses in the skin that detect pain, would not fire off. That's the difference between when you pick up a cold beer out of an ice cooler and stick your hand in a cooler of dried ice. The dry ice is far more cold, almost negative, almost absolute zero as far as I'm aware of dry ice's temperature. Either damn near close to absolute zero or somewhere slightly above it. And that freezing cold temperature causes your hand to blister, crack, and shatter, basically. So Michael Myers, he does feel in actual touch, but he does not feel pain. His pain receptors do not work. Now, you're probably also wondering, Outlaw, if his pain receptors don't work, then wouldn't that by very definition mean that you really could not hurt him? Well, no, I can still physically hurt him. I can still physically do harm onto Michael Myers. It's just he will not feel the pain. He will feel the sensation of his body being under touch, being in contact with other objects. It's just his body will not register its pain. Now, I've heard the trope, and I disproved this in my other video. I flat out do not believe Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees have teleportation powers. Okay, I just do not believe that. That is scientifically impossible. If we remove all the bullshit like magic, zombie, demon shit from these movies. And of course, it was the 80s. So, I guess licensing to have that shit in the movies, fair enough. 80s is all about horror movies having to have something to do with the occult. But I digress. So, how would I fight Michael Myers? Well, pretty much unlike Jason Voorhees, where I would have the option of running away, and once I've reached a certain distance, Jason would no longer chase me. Michael doesn't really have that limitation. It's really more of a, if I don't stop him permanently, he will leave, heal, and come back. Whereas with Jason, once you've left the Camp Crystal Lake area, Jason really no longer feels the need to chase after you. So, therein lies the $5 million question. How would one fight Michael Myers? And honestly, to give the best chance for this, you would need to be in an area that Michael Myers would not find advantageous. Now, to do this, Michael Myers has a very, very much signature way of doing things, which is with a kitchen knife. Now, you could argue that Michael Myers is just going to pick up any kind of object, be that a kitchen knife, be that a hammer. Slasher movie villains have to improvise. But let's just say Michael has his classic kitchen knife, and you know me, I'm going to be carrying a sword. More than likely, the Warrior O katana, and I did tap spine on spine, so don't worry about edge damage. So how would I go about fighting Michael Myers? Well, first of all, Obviously, I have the reach advantage that I can use to keep Michael at bay. Michael is a very much confrontational fighter. Unlike Jason Voorhees, which Jason Voorhees will straight up walk up towards you and try to kill you, Michael Myers is not. I guess he's not really all that confrontational. It's been a while since I watched the Halloween movies. He prefers to do the much more sneak up and kill you from behind strategy than Jason does. But but when Michael Myers is cornered and has no means of sneaking up on you, he will resort to just straight charging you. So let's say, for all intensive purposes, I've been fighting Michael Myers. He's after me. Where would I go to give myself an advantage? Well, first, I would try to lead Michael into a wide open area where there's no real place for him to hide, and he has no other choice but to come directly at me to engage in physical altercation. This could be a park, a cemetery, and I know what you're thinking, Outlaw. In a cemetery, there's all kinds of graves and tombstones for him to hide behind. True, but there's also a lot of graves and tombstones for me to take advantage of and put between Michael and myself. In a park, you could say, oh, there's plenty of trees and bushes. Same thing, I can also use those trees and bushes as buffers between me and Michael if I had to. Looking at this through a martial, this is the difference between having a bunch of scared teenage adolescents and a traumatized old granny fight these monsters versus someone with a analytically martial arts based mindset. This is why you can't have competent veterans and stuff in horror movies, because if you dropped a real veteran into a horror movie situation like in Friday the 13th or Michael Myers, yeah, that should be over with in about an hour. Okay, there would be no movie. There would just be this dude. There would just be two alpha predators stalking each other, and I'm willing to bet the Marine wins every time. Marine, Navy Ranger. Roger would kill me. Uh, Marine, Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, whatever have you. That's why you can't have competent Marines or Army personnel in monster and horror movies. Because if you did, there'd be no movie. And that's really why you can't have competent martial artists in these movies either, especially if those martial artists bring their weapons of choice, whether it be a sword, a knife, yes, even a gun. There's actual techniques where you use the gun to parry and fight in close quarters like you would a quarterstaff. And there's also yield, if you have one, bayonet charge. Even something like a poleaxe. Now, granted, this really can only be used outside. But you catch my drift. There are plenty of weaponry and martial artists in the world that know how to use those weaponry against these slasher monsters that really don't make them really, if you strip them of their supernatural abilities, really do not make them all that terrifying to face, honestly. Even if you use like martial arts designed to be used with like a battle axe or something. Yes, I know this is my fireman's axe, but I don't have a battle axe aside from that pole axe. And slasher monsters also frequent the axe, but let's be honest, a martial artist would put that axe to far greater use than any slasher movie monster or slasher movie slasher would ever be able to do. There's a hash slinging slasher. By the way, uh, there used to be an old challenge saying hash slinging slasher, hash slinging slasher, hash slinging slasher, hash slinging slasher, hash slinging slasher. Used to be the old tongue tie challenge with that from SpongeBob. Yes, I'm old. I'm 23 in this modern age of TikTok that's considered old. But in any case, yeah, I'm an old. If you call me an old man, I'll more than likely say I'm old and proud. But in any case, fighting against Michael Myers, I would lure him into this wide open area. Now, the best place for this kind of confrontation would honestly either be an abandoned parking lot with streetlights that Michael really can't turn off, or some kind of large indoor space like a school gym, auditorium, hell, even just like a town gathering hall. Hey, Space Ghost! Thanks for showing up, my brother. I'm just discussing how I would fight Michael Myers if I was in the Halloween movies. Basically, if you want to watch the previous 16 minutes and then fast forward back to this once the live stream is over, you can. But slight recap. Basically, if we strip away everything that makes Michael Myers traditionally, deadly, which is all the demonic cultist shit from the original movies, and we just make him a human that does not feel pain, he's a much easier to defeat than you would think. Hey, Tempest! Great to show up, my brother. I was just explaining to Space Ghost how I would fight Michael Myers. And like I said to Space Ghost, just breeze through the previous 16 minutes of this video for all my ramblings if you'd like. Space Ghost, I agree. Now, I was just getting into how I would lure Michael Myers into an area, a wide open area, abandoned parking lot with streetlights that he could not cut the power to, or at least not cut the power to easily. A school, gym, auditorium, what have you, somewhere wide open and empty where I can force a face-to-face confrontation with Michael Myers. Now, once I have initiated this face-to-face with Michael Myers, that's where, honestly, the fight gets a little easier. And I went on a whole rant about why you can't have competent army personnel or competent martial artists in horror movies like these because they just end the fight too quickly. Like if you dropped a competent army ranger and had him fight Michael Myers, that fight's only going to last 5 minutes and the ranger's going to come out on top with Michael beat. Even Jason Voorhees, if you strip away all of his demonic powers. And they cannot teleport. That is another thing. They do not have teleportation. But I digress. In any case, how I would fight Michael Myers once I've gotten him into this position where he cannot, disappear into the darkness and reappear, is Michael Myers would come at me and naturally blade forward, keeping my space, keeping my measure distance between us. I don't really believe Michael would attempt to grab my blade, but as soon as Michael got within my measure, I would rear my blade back, luring Michael in. Keep in mind, I am fully aware of the fact Michael is armed with his classic knife. Michael would, I believe Michael would attempt to slash at me. To then I would meet his arm, the arm that he would be slashing me with. I would meet his arm with my blade, thus trying to either completely cut off his arm or at least disable his arm to the point where it's no longer a threat. Now, this does actually put me in a compromised position where if my blade is outstretched and if it gets lodged in Michael's arm for whatever reason, keep in mind Michael does not feel pain. I also went on a whole rant about the sensation of touch and the sensation of pain being two different sensations earlier in the video. I've done all the analytical shit earlier in this. Since he does not feel pain, this leaves Michael in a position to just literally reach over with his other arm and grab me. And keep in mind, Michael does have incredible strength. I'd say at least 3 times, 4 times that of the average man. So even if Michael was to slash me, if I don't do the cut correctly, which is hopefully, if I do manage to completely get through Michael's arm, I immediately step back. I want to stay out of his measure, or I would sidestep into the cut, and thus allowing me to reposition myself, always keeping Michael Myers in front of my blade. But you may be wondering, Outlaw, there must be some easier, less convoluted way to do this. There is, but it also puts me in danger. And this is if Michael Myers goes to slash me, I step back, wait for him to fully extend the slash, and then go for the neck. Now you're probably wondering, how does this put me in danger? Well, if Michael Myers is able to back up or dodge that slash, and my blade is over here, and Michael is underneath my arm and sword, he can go directly for my organs and or... Hello, Ross White. Is that a bug on the wall? Where? No, I don't see no bug. In any case. Oh, you mean this? No. It's just Drago. Yes, I have a addiction to weaponry and plushies. I'm comfortable enough with my masculinity to admit this. Behind you by the green thing, there was a big black bug.
There it is.
Well, if there was a black bug, it's gone now. Or did you mean my wallet? In any case, where was I? Oh, yes. If I go for Michael Myers' neck and I miss and he's able to get me in my internal organs or even into my rib cage near my vitals, then I'm finished. The best possible way I can conceivably think to end the fight with a Michael Myers is get... What is your most valuable plushie? Probably that one at like $70, which was Drago. I bought this back in like Valentine's at Walmart. It was a big fluffy dragon, and that's all it needed. That's all it took for me to buy that. There's like a whole shit ton more in my room. But the only... Are you a salesman of plushies? No, I'm just a collector. I am a collector of many things. Oh, let's see the plushies in your room. Sorry, Rose White, I'm not going to go all the way I have a rare Beanie Baby. Oh, good for you. I'm not entirely sure what a Beanie Baby is. But I'm not going to drag all of them out, and it's a whole hassle to get to them at the moment. They're boxed up. But in any case, the way I would conceive to end the fight with Michael Myers in the fastest and safest way would be to wait until Michael Myers is completely committed to the attack, sidestep the attack. So if Michael is facing this way and he swings from the blade, keep in mind this is my left hand, he swings left to right. The camera does a mirror effect. I would sidestep his attack to get behind him. And then I have two options. One, my name is Ross, not Rose. I am not a woman. Oh, sorry, Ross. Krav Poha during the slash. Keep the base of your sword on his knife. It'll negate most of his strength. Thrust him through the throat. Huh. You see, this is why it's a good thing to have someone in our sword community that researches HEMA as in-depthly as you do, Tempest. Usually my whole sword style is more of wait for the opening, then strike. Much like a wolf on the hunt. But Myers is undying, is he not? If you want to go back to the entire 16-minute ramble I did about power sets, I removed all of the... I basically did what the new Halloween movies did. I removed all the excess demon bullshit and just made him stronger than the average man. Yeah, he's saying hypothetically if he was, though. Was though, was not. It just says was T there, Space Ghost. But in any case, as I said, I'd have two potential targets. Three technically, but the third is kind of iffy. One is the back of the neck at the base of the spinal cord. I could get to fairly easily from the first position and slash into it. The problem is that at the speed that I'm slashing, I could honestly see Michael just rear his knife up and potentially get me across the gut. My second target that I would attempt to aim for is still part of the spine, but much lower. Once I've gotten behind Michael, I would attempt to just straight on slash right across the base of his spine, thus rendering him paralyzed. It doesn't matter how strong you are. If your spine is split in two, you're going down. Definitely good slasher flick. The old Halloween movies are the best, though. Definitely good slasher flicks. I've seen the old Halloween movies, but the only problem I have with the old Halloween movies is that they play blind fuck darts with the continuity. 1 minute he's killing them because why not? Then it's like a curse, and then a cult with a demon baby, and I kind of do like how with the newer ones they kind of just streamlined the whole Michael Myers thing. What about using flashbang to stun Mike? Now you see, that's what someone with military technology would do, but the hypothetical fight is if I had to fight Michael Myers and I don't have the resources to use flashbangs unless I make like homemade flashbangs, which granted my knowledge of exploding things is limited to stuff gunpowder into shit, light it on fire, then run. Hot take, I like the one Rob Zombie did. Is that the new Halloween movie, Space Ghost? Because I didn't pay attention to the director. I came simply for the blood and gore. Rob Zombie is the greatest. He did a. I know Rob Zombie did a remake of The Munsters recently. Then the third target, like I said, the iffy target would actually be the Achilles. The Achilles tendon in the back of the heel. Ow. I think I pulled a muscle in my ass. I'm not flexible, I'm fat. Okay. Now, you may be wondering, why would you attack the back of the heel, Outlaw? Well, if you know anything about sports and sports injuries, you'll know that the Achilles tendon is pretty much the sole tendon that allows humans to stand upright and walk. It was given its name from the story of Achilles. Quick paraphrase on that. Achilles, if you didn't know, basically this invulnerable super soldier from Greek mythology fought in the Trojan War. Basically, Giga Chad among Giga Chads could not be cut. No sword could cut him. No axe could chop him. No spear pierce him, and no arrow puncture him. But one day, I don't remember who, but someone got a lucky shot off and shot him in the heel, and it killed him. Thus ended the story of Achilles, where we get the Achilles tendon. Come out in like 2009. I must be thinking of a different Halloween then. Because the Halloween I'm thinking of came out in like 2018, 2019, something. But that's pretty much how I would fight Michael Myers. As far as that scenario would go, I would try to end the fight as quickly as possible. But let's say I couldn't do that. I couldn't end the fight as quickly as possible. How would I go about it? It's tasty toe time, bro. Paris, Prince of Trinity. What does tasty toe time mean? Oh, are you just trying to get me to say something weird? You succeeded if that was the case. But still, what does it mean? And what's Tempest? What's Paris, Prince of Troy? Oh, that's the one that shot Achilles in the foot, isn't he? Okay. So let's just say I couldn't end the fight as I wanted to, which would be targeting one of these three very vital points. Well, if I couldn't end the fight like that, what I would do is what Laurie did in the Friday the 13th canon, or what is now considered canon to the storylines, and that would actually be inflicting deep gash wounds all across Michael's body, purposely trying to aim and get for the arteries where massive blood flow accumulates. And once those arteries are cut, they start pouring. Not like gushing, but they do pour. And eventually, through making Michael exert himself and with adrenaline thinning his blood and his heart not really stopping, keep pumping the blood out, and eventually he'd die of blood loss. Now, I'm surprised not one of you has asked why I wouldn't just go for an obvious pierce him through the heart thing. Well, if you've ever tried to stab something with a sword, you'll know that there's a high chance of it getting stuck in a target. Especially if you've ever stabbed, like if you've ever tried to stab a tree or a bottle, you'll know that sometimes the bottle will actually get stuck on the sword blade. The same phenomena can take place inside of a human body. And no, this does not relieve pressure. This is not a blood group. It is a bohi. Hey, Gargoyle, thanks for showing up. we were just discussing how I personally would fight Michael Myers. Again, like the first 16 minutes of the video is the whole like power scaling. Which is why we didn't say that. Tempest is like, yeah, that's why we didn't say that, numbnuts. You should have added numbnuts to that, Tempest. It would have been real. That would have been freaking hilarious. Hey, Armored Sweatpants. Thanks for showing up. And as I just said, this is not a blood group. This does not relieve pressure in anything. This is here to lighten the blade. Even if you did stab into a human body, the flesh would just enclose around the blood. I almost said blood group. The bogie as well, thus creating the somewhat airtight seal. Anyways, now if I did manage to stab Michael directly into the heart, yes, that would be a one-shot kill, but moving target, resistance, and the fact that I have to purposely aim the point of a sword blade precisely into the one of the major verticals of the heart to really do instant damage, not worth the risk. I figured a 12-gauge tactical shotgun would do it. What's the best thing that happens to you in the past month, Outlaw? The best thing that happened to me in the past month, Ross? Honestly, I haven't had a really productive month. This is going to be a spoiler for all of you. But first, Space Ghost, am I allowed to tell them what you're sending me? I need your permission first. I don't want to spoil the surprise without your okay first. And a 12-gauge tactical shotgun probably would work, Armored Sweatpants, but I don't really. I would think that it'd have to be slug, not buckshot. That Subway sandwich looked really good. Oh, Space Ghost gave me permission. And yes, it was good. Oddly, not as filling as the Great Garlic, which something called the Beast really should have been much more filling than that, even with double meat. But Space Ghost is actually sending me a Suede Dao, which has actually been the highlight of my month. Now, some things have kind of delayed his sending it, especially since he unfortunately Space Ghost works with not so bright individuals and had to be called in on Saturday, so he couldn't send it out when he wanted to. But he is going to send it out after Monday. Well, I assume sometime tomorrow or some kind. And I will be doing a review. And Space Ghost, this is a spoiler for you. I plan on using the Suede Dao on my end of year cutting video. You know, the biggest cutting video I do every year. Tonight, cast fireball, LOL, hot brass version, IGB sub sweatpants. What do you mean, why is there no door? Oh, this is actually my uncle's bedroom, or what it will be. If you want to see what this looked like when we first redid these rooms, go watch some of the videos on my Fight Monster playlist, specifically like Xenomorphs. Space Ghost, how is it going? And you'll see, like 4 or 5 years ago, these rooms completely caved in. We got them redone. 2 or 3 years ago, got the drywall up, got the insulation, got the windows, got the paint, all that good shit. The only thing that we haven't gotten down is carpet yet. And these rooms have kind of become storage at the moment until we do get that. They built the house around him. Do it. Tempest, how's it go? I'll say it kind of does look like they built a house around me. But no, the reason why there's no door there is because there's really not going to be a door there. Or there is going to be a door there, it's just going to be like a blanket with staples on top. Hey, gentlemen. Hey, Joe. We were just discussing how as a swordsman, would fight Michael Myers, which basically I would go for either trying to sever his spinal cord at the base of his neck, down his back, or completely remove his ability to walk with the Achilles tendon and then slash at him as my leisure. Hey. Going good. Hey, Joseph. When's the next cutting video? I just actually made a cutting video. It's kind of like I'm going to title it Montage of Cutting with the Warrior Katana. Not the Warrior O, just the Warrior Katana. I've got that already set up. I do a bunch of trick cuts with reverse hand, and I even do like one eye cutting and cutting completely with my eyes closed, and it works out. There was a lot of doing it like dry runs where I'm just getting the spacing and the timing down. It was a whole process. Face goes good. Starting to chill down here. Same here, brother. But put the sweatshirt on this more. I'm gonna say Indiana's kind of still in that Indian summer phase, where the air's cooler but the sun's still hot. And then Armored Sweatpants suggested 12 gauge shotgun for Michael Myers. However, now my noble band of outlaws, which horror movie monsters would you like to think of how martial artists would be able to fight them? Because that's kind of the Halloween special here. Well, like taking the classic monster movie monsters and thinking how martial artists like ourselves would fight these things with our weapons of choice. The Blob. Got the poofy socks. The Blob? That's actually a tough one. Aside from just running away, I really don't see any real way of killing the Blob. It's literally just a blob. There's no internal organs, no limbs to cut. Aside from blowing it up with a nuke, I really don't see a way to kill it. Although Michael picked up one of my katana and he liked it in a video I did yesterday, so be wood packing a big blade out. Damn it, Joe! Why? Why do you have to arm Michael Myers with a bigger blade than he already has? The Blob will consume your sword, and nuke would just make it have a big part. I don't know. I've never actually watched The Blob. I'm going to take your word for it, Ross. Pinhead from Hellraiser. I've never really watched Hellraiser, but from what I could tell, Pinhead is a demon, so as much as it goes against my whole like demon motif of myself, which I prefer demons over angels anyways, just personal. Honestly, I would coat my blade in some sort of holy water or have it blessed by some sort of holy magic. For as far as I know, Pinhead is a demon, and if I use any kind of holy elixir against him, I'm going to have some kind of edge. But I honestly don't really know Pinhead well enough to justifiably fight him. I'd grab a hammer and pound in all the nails. It's like, do I go for the head and nick the hell out of my blade? Or do I aim for a lower section? I don't know here. Wait a minute. I have a flat side! Just give him a friggin' lobotomy or some shit. But sorry, Armored Sweatpants, I really don't know enough about the Hellraiser franchise to justifiably say how I would fight against Pinhead. Ghostface, you'd have to have your head on a swivel, but you have the reach with that old katana. Godzilla. Okay, how would I fight Godzilla? I don't really consider Godzilla a horror movie, but you'd watch the. I really don't get the. I don't know what's Ghostface, Space Ghost. But how would I fight Godzilla? Honestly, I would do one of two things. One, if I could become the size of Kong from G versus K, I would probably do something similar to Kong with the axe. Where if I was the size, where if Godzilla and me were the same size and I had the dorsal fin axe, I would use my superior human intellect and agility to just basically blitz Godzilla and aim right for the neck or the head. Always go for the head. Thanos taught us this. Scream. Ghostface is from Scream. Oh, okay. So Ghostface is just a dude in a mask. Pretty much what I'd do for Michael Myers, I'd get him in a situation where I could have a face-to-face altercation and just, well, cut him down like grass. If you could do that, just kick him in the balls. Oh, come on. We got to have some kind of honor here. How would you feel if someone just walked up and kicked you in the nuts? Okay, Space Ghost, some things are sacred. Oh, not Space Ghost, Armored Sweatpants. Some things are sacred. The other way I'd fight Godzilla is actually, instead of shooting the oxygen destroyer into the ocean, what I would do is, as soon as Godzilla opened his mouth, I would have a cannon and basically an Apache helicopter on standby aimed at Godzilla's mouth. So the second Godzilla opens it, for any reason aside from the atomic blast, I would have the oxygen destroyer shot down and lodged into his throat and explode from the inside out. Okay, I can take out Scream in a 1v1, but we're outlaws here. True. Sorry, bucket off camera. But even outlaws need some kind of code. I mean, no honor amongst thieves. Are we really going that far? That's empty. As for Scream, or Ghostface, honestly, as far as I know, Ghostface doesn't possess any extraordinary powers or abilities. He's just a guy in a mask with a knife. So, really, all I'd have to do is basically get up to Ghostface and just slash him with everything I've got. And I'm pretty sure that would take care of it. One good slash. No, just steel-toed boots. No such thing as a fair fight, lol. Fight a Jurogumo. Oh, Gargoyle, now you're just getting into some D&D meets anime shit, and I love that. For those of you who don't know what a Jurogumo is, it's basically a giant spider, the body of a giant spider with the but instead of a spider's head, it has the upper body of a woman. Agreed, Mr. Ghost. Well, I know there's no such thing as a fair fight, but come on, at least give me something here. Y'all are ganging up on me at this point. How would I fight a Jiragumo? Well, first, if I wasn't... if I could withstand its charms, because I'm fairly certain Jiragumo, they lure you in with music and scented perfumes and wines. Just like any other hoe on the street, but don't... But in all seriousness, if I had the ability to resist those, and it sprung its trap, meaning it stood up on me, honestly, I could foresee two possible ways of defeating it and killing it. One is if I run directly under the bitch, hold the sword up while I'm doing it, and just bonsai charge, split its abdomen down the middle. And then all of its internal organs and goo would just spill out, including its heart. Or at least its main heart. I don't know if the woman body would have a separate heart or not. No spiders agreed or snakes. Well, Gargoyle asked about it, so I'm explaining it. Like I said, just bonsai slash my way through it. And hopefully all of its internal organs will spill out, rupture, and damage, and it would just stagger over and possibly die from that. I doubt it would be that easy. But I would hope so. If that was not the case, what I would do is then a similar plan, but this time I would stay underneath the Jiraigumo and actually go for its legs, chopping each of its legs out from underneath it until it could no longer stand. Afterwards, once I had cut off all the legs, or enough legs to the point where it can no longer stand, I would climb up onto its back, blitz right for the woman's head, and then split her skull like a lumberjack splits a log. You show its true form. Cthulhu. Armored Sweatpants, this is horror movie, not kaiju. I won't have to call the Power Rangers at that point. And mirror show its true form. Now you're talking armor. Cthulhu will kill us all no matter what. What do you mean I'm talking armor, Gargoyle? So, no, it's okay, Armored Sweatpants. I'll still figure out a way to fight Cthulhu. I don't really know much about Cthulhu's lore except giant hentai god monster thing, so I guess I'd just pull out the Shiba Inu with no horny bonk and send him after him. Armored Sweatpants. Oh, okay. Okay. No horny bonk Shiba Inu. Go defeat the evil hentai monster god. Save us all from the cringe. An outlaw search history. Who said that? Do not believe the other outlaw. What do you mean don't believe me? He's indestructible. It's an elder god. Someone call the elder god. Okay, who's older here? Someone call Kronos. We'll send Kronos after him. Because at that point, it's just Gaia, and she's literally the Earth. Where's Godzilla when you need him? Probably banging Mothra, which, kudos for the G-Man, but I still want to know how that works. But as for the whole indestructible thing, you got me in a pickle here because I don't really know enough about Cthulhu's lore to know any potential weaknesses that I could exploit. Other than possibly convincing another elder god of the same pantheon to take him on in my stead. Hey, Tone Death. Kaiju porn? Like, no, I was making a hentai tentacle joke, but still. New Godzilla movie coming out this year. I know, I can't wait. Me and Geekopedia are going to go watch that shit. Am I the only one who thinks that this is like the villain is supposed to be like some sort of King Kong but orangutan? Like Orango Kong? Fellow great sword user. Thank you, Tone Deaf. Like Godzilla and Kong versus Orango Kong or Orange Kong or Emperor Kong. Like all these names could be a couple of them. Godzilla -1 from Japan. Don't forget about the Gamera anime. For those of you who don't know, Gamera is basically a secondary kaiju universe that Toho makes movies about. It's a giant mutated turtle that can fly by shooting fire out of its out of the slits that its arms and legs come out of, and it can shoot fire from its mouth. Japan is weird, okay? Okay. Then there's like one of Gamera's monsters. I think one of the monsters Gamera fights is literally a giant living sword. But, you know, it actually reminds me of something. And Gargoyle, you're partially the inspiration, your latest couple of videos for what I'm about to tell you guys. Yep, it's from Toho Company. This one shows Godzilla stepping on people too. Ooh! Could you just imagine, like, you're sitting there eating like a mint chocolate mochi ice cream or whatever, and all of a sudden you see Godzilla, and it's like, oh, fuck. Alright, okay. So Gargoyle, if you don't know, he's been doing these videos lately. And honestly, Gargoyle, I have to give you an apology. I was watching your second Gargoyle Tales video, and I guess this could be kudos to you. Like, your voice was so soothing and calm, it literally put me to sleep. I'm sorry. How is everything, Tone Deaf? I'm very sorry. It says I found, like, the way you were telling the story, just, I was trying to stay awake, but it would. I only woke up when my phone fell on the other side of my bed. Okay. Everyone's saying hi to Tone Deaf. Supposed to be a total throwback to the very first movie. That was actually banger, the first movie. If you watch what was salvaged from the first movie before the Perry Mason version that came to the US, the reason why it took so long for the Godzilla movies to come to the US is because originally Godzilla was supposed to have been born from the fallout of the bombs that hit Fukushima and Nagasaki. Been digging the new spooky vids, Gargoyle. Sweet. Oh, what did Temper say? Hey, okay, yeah. Okay. I like to keep up on the comments. But in any case, the whole fallout after the nuclear radiation and Godzilla's destruction, they kind of wanted to censor that for the American people. So they brought in Perry Mason and did a whole like cut and splice thing. Gojira! Yes. The way you can tell the two movies apart is either it says Godzilla 1954, I believe, or if it has the original Japanese title of Gojira. But no, Gargoyle actually made me want to tell this story. It's not so much a spooky tale, but it is a tale of kind of demons versus goodness. Godzilla movies are anti-nuke weapons and nuke plants. True. So, bit of context for this. Good, bad. So, these two swordsmiths, Masamune and Muramasa, they lived completely separate times in history. Masamune back in the Kamakura period and Muramasa in the Edo. But this legend goes as thus. Indeed, that Muramasa was legend to have been an apprentice of Masamune. Well, one day, Muramasa challenges Masamune to a sword forging contest, where the two will forge two blades. Thank you, Space Ghost. Now I have to find another from the world. Alright. So, these two blades, I don't remember their names. Right now, we'll call them the Demon Sword and the Holy Sword. Holy Sword being Masamune's blade, and the Demon Sword being Muramasa's. Oh shit, I love this story. Well, the legend goes as thus. Once these two sword masters had completed their blades, they put them in the river. And as you would expect, Muramasa's sword, once it was in the river, it was legend to have cut everything. A leaf, a twig, a stick, the air, and the water itself, all of these things the blade cut. Right? The cursed blades. I know, I love cursed blades. However, when Masamune stuck his sword into the water, I don't remember if Masamune's sword only cut the leaf and the stick, or the fish, or if it didn't cut anything at all. But for this, we'll just say it cut the leaf and the stick. It did not cut the fish, the air, or the water. And Muramasa declared himself the winner, saying that his sword cut everything, so his is the better blade. A traveling Shinto monk at the time was then called upon by the two swordsmiths to be the tiebreaker. And the monk said that Masamune has won. For your sword, Muramasa, cuts any and everything without discretion. It is a sword of evil and a sword of cursed origin. However, Masamune's sword only cut the leaf and the stick. It did not cut the air, the water, or the fish. So his is the better sword, because his sword did not cut indiscriminately. I find that to be like perfectly summing up the difference between a cursed item and a holy item. It's like that story just perfectly sums up the differences for a lot of writers to make cursed items and holy items work in their stories. But personally speaking, which of these two swords would you want, my noble outlaws? The holy sword from Masamune or the demon sword from Muramasa? Y'all know I'm already taking the Muramasa sword. There's no contest, okay? Anything that stands in front of me, I want to be cut down. Okay, Armored Sweatpants says the cursed blade. It's like Stone Death chooses the holy sword. The swords were gathered and banned. It was said that they seek the blood of the emperor. Whatever Muramasa cut, it swirled around it, and it wouldn't let anything go. Right. It was like, okay. I don't remember anything about the emperor having anything to do with Muramasa. Okay, so me and Tempest are both on Team Curse Blades with the Muramasa. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. Tempest is Masamune. It seems Outlaw is the only one on Team Curse Blade. But here's the thing. You can tame a cursed blade most of the time. Most of the time, cursed blades can be tamed and then made to cut what you want to cut. A holy sword, you can't really tame because it will only cut what it's designed to cut. Great choice, Tempest. Armored Sweatpants agrees. But when it comes to the Muramasa swords, Muramasa is a sword for grudge holders. Muramasa just for the novelty. Hey. Not that I hold a grudge. It's more along the lines of I want to make sure that if I'm in a fight and I need to kill the other guy, that my sword won't suddenly decide I'm not going to cut him. Are you fucking insane? Yeah, I'd rather have the cursed sword that can cut anything and I can then basically bend to my will. Very rarely are they tamed. True, very rarely are they ever tamed, but that does not mean that it cannot be done. Nanacho Nimbusa anime reference. Was that Tempest making the anime reference or you, Space Ghost? But yes, if I could tame a Muramasa sword, I would take the Muramasa. Because at the end of the day, like I said, holy swords can only cut what they're made to cut. A sword that can cut anything by its very definition can also cut nothing. One Piece Zoro reference. You make the judgment calls, know your sword. True. Even if this was, but the holy sword cannot cut living creatures. That's the whole thing. A cursed blade can, and you can choose whether or not to draw the cursed blade or not, like you said, Tempest. Just most of the time, holy swords, they can cut demons and they can cut evil spirits, but if you try to use that against a human, they can't cut humans in a lot of their folklore. Swords are blind. It is the swordsman that sees. The sword is a tool of will. Me. Okay. Space Ghost was making the reference. True. But then again, we're speaking of cursed swords, which means magic, which means the swords could also have wills of their own. If we're speaking normal swords, real world swords, then that makes sense. But since we've added magic into the equation, we need to assume that the swords also would have a will of their own, or they would have some kind of sentience Can everyone hear me now? My mic died. Okay, so everyone can hear me now, correct? Just want to make sure before I start walking back there and going on my whole rant again. Okay. So like I was saying, the Sword of Omens from the Thundercats is a perfect example of a sentient blade. It cannot be used for any evil deeds. You could get around this by basically trying to convince yourself and the sword that what you're doing is for good, but sword's smarter than that. Alright. I was on the whole, sword sentience thing. So basically, magic swords, regular swords can't do anything unless you pick them up and move them. If I do this, the sword can't do anything, it's just sitting there. If it was a magic sword, cursed or holy, whichever, it would be zipping around, doing all kinds of twirly shit in the air. The Sword of Omens is a perfect example of this, of a sentient magic sword, where it cannot be used for evil deeds, nor can it be used for evil in general. That is what I would consider a holy sword. The Sword of Plunder, on the other hand, can be basically used for anything. That could be considered a cursed sword. If the Sword of Omens was a normal blade, then it could be just used for whatever the hell you want to use it for. Anyone could pick it up and start blasting laser beams at people. But since it is a sentient blade, it possesses its own mind and will. The Elric Saga. I thought my $30 phone finally quit on me. LOL, glad it was the mic. The riddle of steel. What is steel compared to the hand that wields it? True armored sweatpants. No. I haven't charged this mic in a while. I got this off of Amazon. It works on my laptop, but it does not work on my phone for some reason. I got it to basically have the good film quality of my phone and the sound quality that goes along with having a microphone. In any case, that's kind of the whole riddle of steel. Like I said, that's kind of the difference between a cursed and holy sword. And how we got so far off topic of fighting monsters, I don't know. This is kind of how my streams turn into. I kind of just stand up here looking like a dumbass and start talking and words formulating. But therein lies another thing entirely. How would a fight between Conan the Barbarian and myself turn out? I'm not meaning to overpower myself or anything, but Conan the Barbarian is pretty much the epitome of human strength. How about Ewoks? A fight between me and Ewoks? That's the race that Chewbacca is a part of, correct? That'd be fun. Just a minute. Well, the benefit of being able to use my computer and my phone at the same time. Okay. What is an Ewok? Oh, you mean the G.I. Joe Care Bears. The Care Bears that went through G.I. Joe training. Honestly, that would be kind of interesting. Because those little bastards are strong, comparatively. Oh, the Spice Girls. a bunch of teenage musicians against a swordsman. And kind of a one-sided affair, I would believe. But the Ewoks are a different thing. They're basically G.I. Joe Care Bears, like I said. The Spice Girls. It's like, what the hell have you been drinking to make you think that, Armored Sweatpants? And why aren't you sharing it? Well, the Ewoks would be interesting. Simply because to fight them, I'd have to be on, what was it, Coruscant's moon or Alderaan? No, Alderaan got blown up. I'm hopping. Was it Coruscant or Alderaan that the Republic, that the Rebel base was on? Because I'd have to go to that moon where they live to fight them. And if I did that, honestly, they would have the home field advantage, being that they would be able to move around in the thick vegetation and undergrowth far more effectively than me. You'd be surprised. But if I had to, I suppose what I could do is kind of lure them closer to me, where I would get into a position where I would have some kind of wall to my back. I know usually you don't want a wall, you don't want something to your back in a sword fight, but against these little bastards, I want something behind me so they can't sneak up. And I would just kind of attempt to funnel them into a position where they can only get limited number of attackers towards me. Off topic, but I have my next Gargoyle's Tale, and this one will definitely trip you out, especially the outcome. Ooh. I can't wait. Endor, okay. So Endor's moon. So as I said, I would get some kind of wall, sturdy wall behind me, like a big ass boulder. And I would try to funnel these little bastards towards me so where I would only really have to worry about 2 or 3. And since we're in the Star Wars universe, I'm taking full advantage of the fact that I can have a lightsaber. You do not need to be a Jedi to use a lightsaber, or even Force sensitive for that matter. All you need to do is pick up a lightsaber and turn it on. Proof by General Grievous. Once that thing's constructed and put together, anyone can use it. So I would just be slashing through these little munchkins like they're basically wheat to a thresher at that point. Honestly, I have grievances about the lightsaber not being able to utilize some of the more advanced sword techniques of the real world, but again, sword that can cut through anything. Lightsaber, that's cheating. Oh yeah, says the ones who were giving me shit about a fair fight earlier. What happened to no such thing as a fair fight, outlaw? Don't be a hypocrite, okay? If you can chastise me for wanting a fair fight, you can't chastise me for cheating. And technically, I'm not cheating. Lightsabers are literally the most predominant form of sword in Star Wars canon. So, really, it's not cheating. That's what I thought. It's like, oh, we're going to chastise him for wanting a fair fight, but then the second he picks up lightsaber, that's cheating. Like, how about the freaking robot Death Moon that shoots a planet-busting laser cannon? No one ever said anything to the Empire about that. It's like, oh yeah, we'll fight fair. All of a sudden, a big-ass moon appears. It's like, did we always have 2 moons? Boom, we're dead. Why don't you realize the Empire was just mooning people the entire fucking movie. Can we give the Ewok... Oh, now you want to make the fight fair? No, we cannot give the Ewoks lightsabers. Okay, they already have like bows and arrows and rocks and sticks and shit that could get past the lightsaber. Let's face it, I'm not a Jedi. I'm not just going to be force blocking half this shit. Okay, they already have weapons that they can use to get past my defenses already. Alright, lightsaber does not make you instantly unbeatable. It just makes you harder to kill. Actually, it's a vibro blade. To make it fair. Y'all are hopping between ships at this point. I say I want a fair fight. You say there's no such thing as a fair fight. I say I want to cheat. You're like, well, what's the point of cheating? You wanted a fair fight. It's like, bro, pick a side. Don't be a bunch of gray Jedi on me. Vibro blade. Is that the most common blade in the Star Wars universe aside from a lightsaber? Or is that the blade I should be wielding? Space Ghost is like, hi man. You're in one. Team Outlaw with lightsaber versus Ewoks, or Team Outlaw versus Ewoks with lightsaber, and both of us have lightsabers. I got a lightsaber. Okay, I feel like if all the sword community... I just thought of something. Like, what if all of us got together in the Star... If we could go to the Star Wars universe, and we got together, all of the sword community versus the Jedi Council. I call fighting Yoda. I called it. I've seen it. I don't want to fight. Oh, sure. I'm the only one in this room with honor. And then I get chastised for it. It's more common than a lightsaber. Okay. Vibro blades are those ones that can vibrate and cut through shit. Can a vibro blade block a lightsaber is my question. Because if a vibro blade can do that, can a vibro blade block a lightsaber? A regular vibro blade of any kind can't stop a lightsaber. Okay, never mind. I'm taking the lightsaber. But some blades are imbued with core turrets, which is lightsaber resistant and null effects. Thanks for the show. And see ya, Space Ghost. Gonna crash. Good night, y'all. Okay. Night, Space Ghost. History, it's told by the victors. There's like 40 Ewoks, totally not fair. Fair for who? Me or the Ewoks? I mean, yeah, like I said, the G.I. Joe Care Bears, but still. The ones with Corteris Weave Cat. Yeah, I just saw that on the thing. Now, if personally, I'd want a Kyber saber. And for those of you who don't know what a Kyber saber is, it's basically a regular sword that's imbued with a Kyber crystal. You know, the thing that powers lightsaber. Is imbued with a Kyber crystal and can basically do everything a lightsaber can do and everything a normal sword can do. So just imagine this sword being able to just slice through stormtroopers and droids like they were nothing.
It was apparently very common in the Old Republic. If you go by what real fans consider the canon, and that's George Lucas and nothing else matters. George Lucas, Disney does not exist. Mandalorian and Obi-Wan, we can agree on, they exist, but we shall not speak of the other three. Caught up. Alright. Well, yeah, if I could have a kyber saber, then I would actually give up on the lightsaber, because if I had a kyber saber, I could literally do some of the sword techniques from history and still have a blade that can cut through fucking space doors or cut a hole in a spaceship. Gotta go, sword friends. Have a great night. See you, Armored Sweatpants. Yeah, I'm thinking about cutting the live stream off anyways soon too. I've run out of topics and just started rambling my damn head off. So until next time, see you all around, Wizard. Yep. Everyone say bye to each other. Been on for an hour and 26 minutes. Is usually the allotted time for these. I am going to start doing the Outlawsamurai show more as winter approaches to kind of make up for lack of cutting videos and possible other content. And if you have any questions or you want me to discuss any topics, write them in the comments. I'll be doing them Monday nights at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock every Monday. And we'll try to go from like 8 to 10 and see where that takes us. So until next time, my noble band of outlaws, Outlaw Samurai, tells all y'all, be crazy rednecks, be safe and use your weapons, and I will make sure to keep the mic charged for these. So I'm out. Peace.